Hey, yo, welcome back to the Boston Sports Brothers podcast. We're off to a hot start this evening as we're underway and we're recording here on Monday, June 15th, fellas. We have a lot to dive into. We have champions that have been crowned in the NHL and the NBA. We have a big worldwide soccer tournament right in our backyard going on. And we have things across the pop culture scene that we'll talk on Jesus Christ as well. So let's start here at the top, Big E, and it's the NBA Finals where, unfortunately, the New York Knicks have brought it home. Let's talk about it. Let's break it down since we last convened. Take it away.
Yeah. So, congratulations to the New York Knickerbockers, who are officially your 2026 NBA champions. I want to give a huge hat tip to the team themselves, but specifically, I think one person that I have not really heard anyone give a lot of credit to, and I think this guy deserves a ton of credit, is Leon Rose. Leon Rose built this team mostly through acquisition. There really wasn't a lot of homegrown players on this team. Just in general, I think you got to take your hat off and just say what a great job that he did putting this team together. Jalen Brunson, what a man! He cemented himself
Unreal.
as one of the best Knicks, if not the best Knick of all time. Won the Finals MVP, deservedly so. He is the engine that team runs on, and just what a great story! Like a proven winner in college, back-to-back national titles with Villanova. I think he got drafted in the second round by Dallas Mavericks. They offered him I think it was like a 4-year, $50 million contract. And he said, yeah, no thanks. I'm going to see what's out there. Got a much bigger deal from the Knicks and actually took less from the Knicks than what he could have in order to go over there. And he's a big reason that they were able to do a lot of things that they were able to do. So
Yeah.
got to give him a lot of credit.
Biggie, can we talk about Brunson for a second here? Because I think that his performance throughout the course of the playoffs and what he brings to the Knicks team is bringing it to the Celtics, something that the Celtics lack right now. He brings this energy and this calmness and this ability in the fourth quarter. Honestly, a guy that I remember doing it here was a guy like Isaiah Thomas. Obviously, he didn't have the surrounding cast and wasn't quite the same kind of player as Brunson, but his play was unbelievable. And some of the ways that he's able to get to the basket, especially going up against a guy like Wembanyama. I mean, you're going to see that video from game 5 as one of the all-time finals highlights of him getting by him to get the layup to go ahead. So, and just the poise that he brings to that team, certainly in game 4 as well, what he did to sort of galvanize the squad. Like, what a leader. What a unbelievable player for the Knicks. Like, all tip of the cap, as you said, Biggie, because they built everything around him, but that guy's the fucking engine and he makes it go undoubtedly. So I just had to get that in on Brunson. He was spectacular.
Yeah, no, he truly was. And I think I also want to give a huge shout out to Carl Anthony Towns. I think, especially after the last couple off seasons, he had that sassy pass last playoffs. And, I think there were questions of can this team win with him? And he answered that in a resounding way this postseason. He was an insane plus 248 for the postseason for the Knicks. I in my wildest dreams could have never expected that he was going to be that effective and that good in the playoffs. And I mean, the team itself just went on a great generational run. Is it the best championship that I think I've seen in my lifetime? No, I still think like I'm going to go back towards probably the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. I still think that those teams are probably the most dominant teams I think I've seen. There was that one run in 2001 where they went 15-1 in the playoffs. So they're not there quite yet, but you got to give them credit. This was a hell of a dominant run by the Knicks. Again, I think another thing that's a common theme that has to be talked about too is this is the 8th straight year with a new champion. There's been no repeats, so it speaks to the parity level of where the NBA is. The Knicks are obviously going to try and see if they can defend that title, but the odds are not really in their favor, which I think is a good natural transition for us to talk about what does that do for us going forwards. And actually, even before we go there, let's talk a little bit about the Spurs because I obviously we're giving the Knicks a lot of credit and giving them their flowers, justifiably so. But I do think in a lot of ways, the Spurs lost this just as much as the Knicks won this. You can't lead every game by double digits and only walk away with one victory out of 5 games and feel like you did your job. Like they're a young team. Clearly they need a little bit more experience and they need a little bit more seasoning. I do still think the future is bright for them. I still think the future is bright for Wembanyama. the thing that's interesting about this team too is they're well under the cap and they have the majority of their core together under the cap for the next 3 or 4 years. So, I mean, the West is a gauntlet. So who knows if they'll be able to come out next year or it's going to be OKC. But I see them in OKC and a team like, the Denver Nuggets kind of being one of those teams that are always going to contend. So they'll have many opportunities to get back, but oh man, what a backbreaker to know that you had an opportunity to win every single one of these games.
Yeah, absolutely. Kraz, did you see game 4? Well, did you see the last 2 games really? I mean, let's talk about that because Big E, that ties right in. I mean, what happened with the Spurs and the leads that they blew in each of those games was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's very very reminiscent of the early Celtics when they played, the what's it called? The Jesus, I'm getting messed
The
up here.
Lakers?
So no, the Warriors.
Oh, okay.
When they went up and they kind of just were blowing leads, and it was just, and it's still kind of a consistent theme with this team now as it is. But again, like you said, hats off to the Knicks and what they've been able to do this year, as a team and be able to actually move forward and push to the finals. They actually obviously deserve it. So that's what, without a doubt being said. But the big thing that really what you talked about, Eric, is repeating how many players are still going to be there from next year. Are certain players going to move because of contracts? What is the money fiscal side of things, the business side of basketball things look like? Because things are always, from what I've seen the last, I guess 8 years now, things have always, or since Toronto won, things have always changed after, players will leave, go to another team for a bigger contract, Sans Luke Cornett. I mean, it's one of those things where it's really tough to kind of go back to back. And I kind of even thought so with the Celtics. It was, more of the homer side of me being like, yeah, the Celtics are going to go back to back rather than the actual, smart brain, realistic brain, where it's like, that's really tough to do because, certain factors need to be, implemented. And it's not like the game's not like it was back in, the early 2000s where you did have the Lakers win a bunch. You had the Heat win a bunch. You had, the Celtics sprinkled in there when San Antonio. So it's just, being able to repeat is really tough. Hats off to the Knicks. But, like you guys said, I kind of wanted to jump onto what the fans are doing. I mean, I guess we can do that a little bit later on. I didn't
We'll
really
certainly talk about
watch.
that for sure.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
think
really
to
watch the games just because I had that gut feeling that it was going to happen. And I just
yeah.
was, I'm a Boston fan. All right. And that's how it is at
Well,
the end of the day.
this is a
Yeah.
great conversation, Sam, and I think, and let's start to shift gears a little bit into some of the like ancillary things that come along with this finals, right? And from a Boston perspective, congrats to our New York friends and family. We all have them. I understand their happiness. Obviously, when you win a
Don't be a
championship,
sore fucking
there's
winner.
nothing better. But I am not
Jesus
happy for New
fucking
York. I am
Christ.
not happy that the Knicks won a finals. I am not happy that there are people from this area that feel happy that the Knicks won and the 53, it's like the Red Sox in '04. I'm like, how the
Down.
fuck in your right mind are you a Boston sports fan and somehow have any sort of like happiness in the fact that the Knicks won a championship and you got swept up in the Taylor Swift of it all and the Ben Stiller of it all and Chalamet and all that bullshit. When you're a Boston sports fan, you don't root for New York teams. That's how
Never.
it
And
goes.
there's a difference between a 50 and an 88-year drought. It's fucking like 3 decades. So, I mean, almost 4 decades. So get it fucking right. Like, okay, take your victory lap, but chill the fuck out. Be a reg. Don't be a sore fucking winner and rub it in people's faces. There's no need to do that because you want to know why? The next day it's irrelevant. It's off a Sports Center. There's something bigger happening on. There's a fucking World Cup going on right now behind me, which is another thing that I want to get into really quickly as far as like viewership goes with this team. I mean, not with this team, with this whole series. I believe the viewership was like 83 million, whereas the Super Bowl, where our team was in and our Boston teams still are currently relevant. We've actually only gotten better. And we'll get to the Patriots, but that was viewed at, I believe, 123 million. And then you look at an opening game that was at like fucking 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I think. And it was Mexico versus Senegal, if I'm not mistaken, or no, South Africa. I watched it. 1.2 fucking billion people. That's, I
Yeah.
believe,
So, I
What,
mean,
like
it's on another level.
12% of the world population? It's insane.
You're talking global. Yeah, I'm certainly you're talking global. We're going to talk World Cup a lot here in a few minutes. But yeah, I agree with you, Sam. Just the fact that there are some New Yorkers who just like want to rub your face in it and whatnot. It's like, just go enjoy the championship. Like we don't need all the extracurriculars and all that sort of stuff. Biggie, let's talk a little bit about the Celtics and some implications there. And certainly there's some rumors and things that are starting to get put out there, certainly by Bill Simmons, about potential folks on the move. So let's shift the narrative to those things.
Yeah, I think obviously the big thing that's on everyone's mind, not just in the Celtics and Heat world, obviously they're the two teams most concerned with this, but this is going to have a ripple effect across the league, is what's going on with Giannis. They have kind of set a self-imposed deadline of the draft. They're looking to acquire players and picks. I'm not sure if it's all for this year or obviously they're going to try and get some future draft picks as well. But that really kind of puts us around 10, 11 days from today for something to kind of happen. And I think the most recent updates up until like this last week was, hey, like it's seeming like, it's going to be Miami. And there really weren't a lot of rumblings about Boston until Simmons kind of came out on, I think it was Friday or Saturday night and said, hey, keep your eyes on Boston. Seems like they're now starting to get involved. And he said Thursday they made an offer. I'm a little bit torn on this. I've been steadfast that while I do think Giannis is a great player and I do think he would be a tremendous player to get, I do not think that trading Brown to get Giannis is truly a massive upgrade long term. I think it might be something that makes you better for a year, maybe two, but I think on the whole, it probably doesn't help you. And I think from the being we talked about the CBA a little while ago and how it was so important for the Celtics to be under the tax this year. It's not just important for them to be under the tax this year, but it's important for them to be under the tax next year as well. Because what that allows them to do is it allows them to overspend significantly above the second apron or up to the second apron for the next 4 years with no tax implications, no penalties whatsoever. So part of me thinks that, hey, well, getting Giannis is something that's good for the short term. I want to take the long term approach. And what I would rather do is say, hey, let's not give up. This team this past year significantly overachieved. Jason Tatum was not 100%. He now has a full offseason to work on getting back to 100%. He even said his calf is not the same size as his healthy calf, right? His injured calf from the Achilles. So I want to see what happens when we give Brad an opportunity to do what he does best and works in the silence. And he's a killer. I think being involved in a deal like this just feels a little bit almost like I feel like it's manufactured right now to try and see if they can make Miami increase their offer, because it seems like it's a 2-horse race at this point.
I think, well, I agree with that, Eric. And I think there's so much that comes along with the Giannis situation and him potentially coming here. A few things to sort of pick at in terms of what you were saying. When you weigh it down, if they're both healthy, who's a better player?
Giannis.
Right. So that's point number one. Point number two, yes, Giannis is older and has health issues. I completely agree. However, he's said he's willing to re-sign. Is there any chance whatsoever that Giannis is going to pull, not a Brunson, but potentially leave some money on the table? He's probably made $500 million, if not more, in his career at this point. Does he sign a 4-year
team-friendly
$50
deal
mil per as opposed to 75 and gives the Celtics some runway? And Jaylen Brown, and he's been a great player, but some of the ancillary stuff with him, and especially with all the streaming bullshit that he's doing now, it's like we've seen it not work with Tatum and Brown, unfortunately, more than it has worked. And I'm at this crossroads of like, yes, you can run it back. You kind of know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to have a great regular season and be a top 3 or 4 seed, and you're going to get into the playoffs. But are you going to be pulling on the rope to get past? And more times than not, we've been let down.
Can I pull on one thing there real quick, Sam? I know you got one thing to pull on, but
Yeah.
I think running it back is, I think, a little bit of a misconception there, because do I think that they're going to bring back this entire team that they had last year? No, I do think I do think that.
Point. What else do they do?
But I do think, like, can you keep Brown and Tatum and move other pieces on the roster? Absolutely. Do I think Derek White, Sam Hauser, those guys can be on the move? Absolutely. I think there is things that they can do without necessarily breaking up Tatum and Brown. Obviously, that takes Giannis out of the equation, but I don't just think it's Giannis or bust. I think there are other things and other avenues that we can explore.
Just
Sammy.
don't
No,
go get
yeah,
De'Aaron Fox. No De'Aaron
No,
no,
Fox.
no.
no, and I agree. I mean, a lot of the things that you say, it comes down to load management, and we talked about this with Tatum when he got hurt, and bringing him back. And my big thing was don't, just be really strict about it and do, 15-minute games and, stay at 15 and don't try and jump it, because what's going to happen happens. And the same thing with Giannis. He's getting a little bit older. If he's in fact willing to move, be traded from what, he could be considered one of the greatest Milwaukee Bucks. He probably will be considered one of the greatest Milwaukee Bucks. But if he's willing to move from Milwaukee, that means he's probably willing to sign for a little bit less, so that the team, like Plotty said, can go out and spend in other areas to make the team that much better. And if you do that proper load management as far as time and minutes go, and I don't want to say rest days, but you don't play him more than however many minutes because he's however older, you have your stat guys figure that out. If you can figure out a way to do that, you reduce the amount of injuries, and then therefore you get him ready for the playoffs. And you really do have it's different because you got a 6'9" guy, and then you got someone that's almost 7 feet, and it's a different game.
And Sam, to build off that, and then we'll keep moving and grooving here. I think the thing is that if you do bring in Giannis, it undoubtedly changes your style of play. You're not jacking up the threes like they have for as long as they have. And if they do, it's going to be a lot more of him driving and kicking than it is sort of just this pull up three mentality that the Celtics have. So it's very intriguing. There's a lot of layers to this, and we'll keep our finger on it. Biggie, put a bow on it, and we'll keep going.
Do you guys think he's willing to accept the number 2 role as well? Because he's coming here, he's not going to be number 1.
The question,
yeah, dude, he knows this is Tatum's team.
Well, and that's the thing. Is Giannis at this point? Is Giannis at the point of his career where he's willing to sacrifice obviously he's not like KG from the sense that he already has won, but is he willing to sacrifice and come into a team that's already established and be able to say the money isn't as important, the role on the team isn't as important, but I'm in an environment and a situation where I could potentially put a banner or two up in the rafters at the most storied franchise in the NBA and cement my legacy as a top 10 player of all time if I do that. That's what he has on the line.
One of the best power forwards of all time.
I think a good way to put a bow on this, I think we all agree that at the end of the day, if Brad Stevens decides that this is the move to go forwards, I trust Brad implicitly, and I think you guys do too. So regardless whether he makes the move or doesn't, whatever Brad decides to do, I'm on board with. Love and trust for Brad Stevens.
Love it. Great way to wrap up the NBA and Celtics segment there. Once again, congrats to the Knicks, a very deserving champion this year.
Yeah,
good job.
We will preview the NBA draft. We'll preview the NBA draft next week as well. Granted, if the Celtics have picks or don't have picks, we'll hopefully know a little bit more, have a little more clarity next week. But something to kind of keep your eye to the sky for as something to.
Absolutely. And we keep on moving here as a champion, and the NHL has been crowned. The Carolina Hurricanes finally break through a dominant playoff run from the Hurricanes, 16-3 overall, 2 series sweeps. Vegas certainly tested them. They came back from down 2-1. Jordan Stahl, unbelievable, wins the Conn Smythe, oldest player, I believe, ever to win the Conn Smythe. And I think he had 6 or 7 goals in the series. He was spectacular. Brandon Bussey, the local guy who played with the Bruins, gets in there for games 4 through 6 after Anderson got his noggin knocked. And Bussey goes in there and just sort of stood on his head a little bit and kind of brought Carolina home. And the one thing about Carolina that was just unbelievable is how much of a forecheck they have and how difficult they made it on their opponent throughout the course of the playoffs. So another very worthy champion in the Carolina Hurricanes. Chime in, fellas.
Yeah, I also just want to give a huge shout out to Rob Brindamore. I feel like he was a great player. He's been the coach of the Hurricanes for a long time at this point. I can't honestly remember the team without him being there because he's been the head coach there for a long time. It was cool to see him get over because I'm not sure if he won one there as a player, but I know obviously him being there for a coach, it was great to see him do that. And then I think the last thing for me is all right, guys, if you're not going to win on your home ice, where are the best places in the country to win? It's got to be Vegas or Miami, right? And so they got to celebrate in Vegas after winning. I mean, honestly, that's got to be one of the best places to go celebrate a championship. So, unless you guys have any other thoughts on where you would want to celebrate a championship if it wasn't going to be in your home ice.
New Orleans would be pretty. I mean, that's pretty insane. But I mean, yeah,
Unfortunately, no
Vegas
hockey
is.
team there though.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas is that's yeah.
Yeah, it's up there. I think
That's the number one bachelor spot for guys, so it's got to be in our eyes at least.
It'd be a time. It'd be a time. It's hard because the Stanley Cup wasn't as if it was two sort of storied franchises or anything from that standpoint. So I don't think the interest was there from a national level the way that it would be if you had an original six team in there or one of these other teams with some star power, the Ovechkins, Crosbys, if you will, of the world. And so, it was somewhat, I don't want to say a lackluster series. It was a lackluster series from a name standpoint and a team standpoint. But if you watch the games, they were great games. And certainly Carolina sort of took off in game 5 and game 6. But those first 3-4 games of that Stanley Cup were some of the best back and forth hockey games we've ever seen. So just wanted to say that as well. It was a very good Stanley Cup.
Easily, they were the best two teams in the league. They were the right two teams that come out from each conference. So I think it was a little bit of a better series than the NBA Finals. So you gotta give them credit. And to J Matt's chagrin, who was talking up the Knights last week, Carolina heard that and they said, "Hey, J Matt, hold our beer." So they took care of business.
J Matt's Knights, J Matt's Cleveland Cavaliers, both falling to their
James
demise
Harden.
this season. James
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not all coming up J Matt right now. So
that's a early there, Kraz. We'll get to that in a little bit. But now, fellas, it's time to turn our attention to what has swept the nation, what has taken over
Vegas.
the US of A, what has come right into our backyard with the Tartan Army, the Scottish lads wearing their kilts and bringing their bagpipes to Fenway Park and all yonder
North America.
What an unbelievable scene, fellas, this World Cup has been. Let's start with the U.S. game that occurred Friday night because it was undoubtedly the best U.S. soccer game that's ever been played on this sort of stage. Kraz, you can certainly chime in with your thoughts in a second. The first half was dominant. The second half, you saw a few cracks in the armor, if you will. But having watched this team, and I'll be a little snarky or whatever you want to call it at this moment, and also having done announcing for several soccer games, the U.S. and how they played was different than what we've seen prior. And that goes to coaching and the program and the players. But it felt different. And I don't know if it's because it's in the U.S. or if this is a real thing. I don't know if we're playing with fool's gold. But what we saw on Friday has you thinking the U.S. could go on a run in this World Cup. So let's start there, fellas. Your thoughts from the game, everything that occurred, and then we'll get into sort of the whole rigmarole of what's going on with the World Cup beyond the U.S.
I mean, I think the atmosphere was just electric. I just want to start there, for that U.S. game. Not just that game. All of the games so far have been electric, but the atmosphere is so infectious. Sam, I know you want to talk about the game. I just want to talk about the atmosphere real quick. So take it away. Talk about the game.
Give us your tactical take, Sammy K.
Well, it's not just that. It's like you said. Is it fool's gold? So is the biggest thing for the longest time with the U.S. programs is they're trying to compete with the likes of Spain, the likes of Germany, Netherlands, Argentina, Portugal, all these bigger named countries. And I really do think they're finally at a period in time where the paradigm is starting to shift as far as U.S. soccer goes. And I don't think it's fool's gold. I think what we're seeing is real, and this team is actually a put together program more so than it has been. However, with that being the best game ever, I don't know, just because, there's a lot of other people that will debate, in 1994, they went in and unlike Erkey and his fucking Rangers thing, I actually fucking remember this. The U.S. went in and beat Colombia 2-0 in the round of, I think it was 16. And it was a big thing because.
What were you 7? Do you remember that from being 7?
Yeah, dude, I went to soccer camp, bro. I played U6s, U7, U8s.
I'm impressed that you remember. I'm not throwing shade. I don't remember
Pele.
much from 7.
I remember. I never watched Pele, obviously, because I think he retired in the mid to late 70s. But still, like, I watched a lot of his
You were
highlights.
just you were just a twinkle in
He
your
was a
father's
wee
eyes
lad.
then.
But growing up, I would watch Telemundo. That was the only channel on the black box that we all had, and there would be a soccer game on, and like it's something that I've always been into. I played up into states, and the way that they're playing, I really do think they have a program that's akin to England, akin to the Netherlands. Do I think they're, Argentina? Do I think they're Portugal? Do I think they're Spain? Like, they don't have they do have a, Lamine Yamal guy or a Mbappe type figure, but are they as good as Mbappe? No, they're not. Clearly they're not. But there's, Biggie, some of the things that you wrote in here, and one of our players forego playing with England, which is a well put together team, and then also I believe Nigeria. And I don't want to butcher this guy's name because he deserves he at least deserves that. But it was Florian Belugan.
You
Technically, the
nailed
kid
it.
scored 2
Nailed it.
goals. That's the type of player. The kids, I believe, I think he's like 6'1", like 215, just all muscle. The kid's
Yeah.
an athletic freak. It's you mix that in with like I don't want to say like the intelligence, but we're far, and I don't want to be cocky, but we're far more superior in most sports than any other countries. World Cup is like, or soccer, or technically really football is the one that we're the furthest behind. And I think at this point, the U.S. squad has attained that level of that with a lot of the
Yeah.
players from even like Uruguay. This star player plays in the MLS for Real Lake, Salt Lake City, Utah. Like, I mean, so it's just, that's where I think we're at.
I think there's a few things with the U.S. team and some of their players that you talked about the MLS, Sam, and the 21 out of 26 players on the team have played in the MLS at some point. So the MLS has become a much more premier league in terms of star power and players. Certainly, you have guys like Messi playing in Miami now, and you
And
have
Beckham's the kind of started that
Suarez,
trend.
and you have some of these other guys that have come to the U.S. and the MLS later in their careers, which has been great. But also, certainly, European soccer and what goes on over there is followed around the world. And these guys playing over there and being in those programs and being in the best leagues is allowing them to come back to the U.S. and be a formidable opponent finally in the World Cup. So it's been unbelievable. It was a great game. Balogun and his 2 goals were great. Certainly to get a goal off the rip was great. And then I think one of the most understated things that happened and that wasn't talked about is Gio Reyna's goal was spectacular in the inside out nature of it. But him scoring that goal and them getting another goal on the aggregate when that's so important in group play
Huge in
was
group play.
unbelievably huge. That was like, you can go, you want to beat Australia on Friday and be in the driver's seat of your group. And also Taylor Twellman's been on Felger and Maz a few times over the past couple of weeks. He's been
Farmer
great.
New Rev.
His insight and his knowledge. But apparently he said
He's
because
really
of the
good.
expansion, you'd avoid playing a top 8 team in the world if you win your group. So until the quarterfinal. So the US has a path here where if they can go win on Friday in an environment in Seattle, which we know how Seattle gets for sports, is going to be fantastic.
Not only do they get for sports, but they are a soccer town. Like the
Correct.
Seattle Sounders sell out every single game.
So,
Precisely.
you couple that and the Seattle Seahawks, what
Right.
was it? The
It's
set
going
12th
to be
man
a
on the field.
scene. It's going to be a scene up there. The best part about the World Cup is how it brings together countries, how all the countries come to the host nation. And let's talk about some of the environments and Big E, back to where we were starting. Certainly here in our backyard, and Big E, you've probably seen it because you're closest to town. The Scottish have invaded, and it's been an absolute scene. What have you seen out there in Eastie? What have you seen around town over the last week? As the Tartan Army is in full force.
Well, let me tell you, I've seen a lot of kilts. I've heard a lot of bagpipes. I have seen a lot of blue and white for Scotland, and I think this is one of the best things about the World Cup is the ability for all these like nations to come to a host nation. And I think specifically America just does not always have the best rap around the world for obvious reasons. So I think seeing everyone kind of come on over and not just Scotland right now, obviously in Boston, but you're seeing all these other people that are coming around and having great times. I don't know if you guys have seen South Korea and Mexico, but they have a full-on love affair going on right now.
Amazing.
There's going to be some Mexican South Korean babies that are going to be born
100%.
after this South Korea Mexico game on Thursday. So
To chime in really quick, to keep it even more local, there's a huge Cape Verde population in Rhode Island, and there was the Cape Verde team. There was an actual like send off, and I have a few friends that are Cape Verdean, and like I like saw their Instagrams, and like it was a huge fucking party, and it's not even just like, they don't, obviously they go in with the expectation of winning, but it's just like, they're there for like either the first or second time or whatever it is, some of these teams. And it's just that in itself is an accomplishment. And I think that's, like you said, the beauty of it is we're pulling in, it's, with Canada hosting, with the US hosting, and with Mexico hosting, we're seeing, just this blend of just, people coming to the US, and I'm sure you guys have seen the memes of like the German guy discovering
Freddie.
ranch dressing.
Freddie.
And
yeah, we love Freddie. First of all,
Let's
the best thing about Freddie is every single time he posts a picture, he puts his avatar over his face. So any German guy could be Freddie, right? Like that is like such a great thing. I think
But then there's a little kid who's going to the little blonde kid who keeps going to the different restaurants. He went to like Chick-fil-A and like ordered
Waffle
a
House.
shake. He went to Waffle House. He was with his mom. Went to Five Guys and stuff. And it's just like
Taco Bell.
Experience
Taco
that.
Bell.
And they're like, "Oh my God, you guys have a big gulp." And it's just like,
But
yeah, well,
I think the
why
other thing,
diabetes type 2 is so high.
bring it back full circle. And I think this is one of the reasons why I think it's so special to have Scotland and Boston and Haiti as well, is these are two teams that have not been in the World Cup for a considerable amount of time. Scotland is 28 years and Haiti is 52 years. So these are countries that have not been on this world stage in a long time. And, for these Scottish fans that I've been seeing in drones, they've spent thousands of pounds to be here. And it's because a lot of them have said, "Oh yeah, last time we were there, I figured we'd be back," and they haven't had the opportunity. So they're going balls to the wall. They are having a blast in the city. Have made Boston into their adopted town. They have dominated the cop slide. They have been marching around. They have hijacked a boat in the harbor, singing "No Scotland, no party." And then they had Scotland night at Fenway yesterday, and they refused to leave when the game was over. They had an entire rally at Fenway. They're just awesome, and it really makes me want to go to Scotland after this to like kind of repay a little bit to them for the experience that they're having in Boston. I want to have
my brother. He just came back
in Scotland. I know your brother did.
I think that's a great point, Biggie. I do think going over there and there's going to be this tie between Boston and Scotland for a while, which is great. They have another game taking place at Gillette or Boston Stadium, whatever they want to call it. The funniest thing is being close to Gillette.
Stadium.
There you
Scotland
go.
West.
West Scotland. The guys have taken over. Fenway was absolutely electric last night. And let's keep talking a little bit about Fenway and what's going on there, Sammy K, because the team on the field it's just pretty much status quo at this point. Every week they're going to go out, they're going to look decent in 2 to 3 games. They'll lose a close one, and then the other 3 they sort of just get their doors blown in. More of the same. That's really all there is to it at this point, and it just is sort of waiting for shoes to drop. But your thoughts, your takes, your updates.
I mean, besides the shining stars, that they're really the ones that are going to be dealt at the deadline, and then what is there really going to be to watch other than Peyton Tolle and Connolly Early? So yeah, it's status quo, and it's unfortunately deadland. I mean, Biggie, you wrote it down there. What, 11 games, 5 games in the wild card behind? There's not really much more you can come back from that. And they've been waving the white flag for what, like over a month now, which is just disgusting because it's only mid-June. So it's just, it sucks. I mean, I'm a baseball guy, to my core, and it's really disheartening when ownership doesn't care. They keep kind of scapegoating it onto someone else. And really, like I said in the last episode, really the only way that I see this team moving forward is Theo Epstein telling John Henry to, give Breslow the axe, and, Epstein finding a guy to kind of fill that shoe and not be that analytical and use analytics when necessary, but don't base everything off that. That's really the biggest thing. I mean, we have the player, moving forward. There's a couple of contracts that look kind of ugly right now with Yoshida and Kristen Campbell, but I mean, there's some bright spots. I think someone last week talked about Cedon Rafaela's contract, and he's one of our better players right now. He's probably in contention to potentially play at the All-Star game. So we'll there's a group moving forward. We have an ace. We have clearly a 2 and a 3 guy in Connolly and Tolley. So I just want to say the skies are going to be a little bit brighter for us. But right now it's kind of dark and stormy, and kids are definitely not eating free at the 99.
To me, it's about proving it. And like, it's great that we have all this great pitching, but like, if our calling card was also supposed to be defense, and we're one of the worst defensive teams in the league, and we can't hit for shit. Literally, if we let up 3 runs, we're going to lose the game. They need to invest in not just bats that are going to hit home runs, but people who are going to make contact and get on base. It's not about the home run ball. Yes, the home run ball is important, but they need to get players here, and they need to spend money on players that are going to
Need an
get on base.
identity.
And I think the thing that is disappointing for me is I really didn't want to jump on the bandwagon last year, because to me it seemed fluky. And lo and behold, it was a fucking fluke, because they don't know how to run a team, run an organization. As much as we all love Devers being shipped on out because he was kind of a cancer, and it was an addition by subtraction. And yes, he has proven that, it was a good move. They totally botched that deal. They got rid of Kyle Hamilton,
James Tibbs and Hamilton,
who looks unbelievable for the Brewers. It's kind of like they just don't understand, and it's almost like they're in the mindset of like they need to like win every single trade, and that's not how you build a team, and that's not how you build an organization. So I think they should be firing Craig Breslow before this trade deadline. They're probably not going to. They're probably going to let him do his thing. But I think the thing that I have an issue with is, if this guy's not going to be part of your long-term future, and we hope he's not, why should he be making any sort of moves that are going to impact the future?
You make a great point, Eric, and that's the part. Sam, I first actually want to say that was one of your most measured, like insightful Red Sox takes I've ever heard from you, given the state of the team. So kudos on that, because that was you pretty much assessed the entire tone of where I think everybody's at from a rational standpoint of, yes, there's a few things that you can build around, but overall there's a lot of things that need to happen. Back to Breslow. I don't know how you can have him control the trade deadline, given what we all expect and think is going to happen, even though they've said it's not going to. But with Breslow, I hate to say it, but isn't there almost a way that you have to root for them to sort of lose over the next 2 to 3 weeks, so that it just gets to a point where the outcry and the ability to make that decision is that much more warranted? Like, if we get to 4th of July and they're looking,
you don't got to root for it. I'll tell you,
they're going to be right. But if let's say we get to 4th of July and they're 35, 37 and 53, if you will, like, that's possible. And at that point, you're looking at you could be having 100-loss season. I mean, if you had 100-loss season,
60-win team, 60
it might be
team. 66, 67,
they're not
68.
too far
We're
off.
looking at being 30 under 500 right now.
They're probably going to get 75 if they're lucky. Like, I think 70 is probably where they're slated towards. 70 wins. I mean, I don't think I don't think they're going to hit 60. I think they're probably going to do a little bit better than that. But like, that's despicable for a big market team, for the amount of money that they can invest and they can spend on this team, to just punt it, and to also put all these expectations on all these young players without having a veteran presence. It is baseball malpractice. And it not only should Breslow be held to the fire, like we've been talking about, but it starts at the top. It's ownership. Ownership has to be willing to spend money. They have to be willing to invest in the team. And it seems like they're just happy with making Fenway an experience for people to come from out of town and enjoy and make their money there. It seems like winning used to be something that they used to care about, and it seems like they don't care about it anymore. And that's disappointing as a fan.
That's the disappointing part, and I hate to cross sports, but you look at the comparison's almost like to the Knicks and James Dolan. Certainly, he didn't have the success early on like the Red Sox ownership did. But what Dolan did is he kind of realized he had to invest. There was a speech that he made before the playoffs started that was going viral on social media today. That made me like him and respect him a lot more. And you understood that he was bought in. I'm sure Knicks fans don't feel all the love and that they do in some ways, but they certainly hold what's gone on before that to the fire. But I never can see this ownership group treating the situation that they're in like he did and seeing that. And that's, that's the part that sucks. It's just like they're so indifferent. They're so just copacetic, as we said, with Fenway just
an
being the
excuse for
tourist
everything.
attraction, and they'll make their money. And to be honest, Breslow should be fired because he's mismanaged his team left and right. He's handed out deals that shouldn't have been handed out. You needed to trade Trevor Story after last year in the season that he had. You got nothing for him. The return for Devers was, there's so many things that we're going to be talking about all summer as things unfold more so. But it thank God some of the other things are going on, especially the World Cup now that the finals are over, because it's going to be after 4th of July and after this World Cup wraps up, a tough couple months until we get football season going. Thank God for the World Cup, if we're being honest.
I mean, honestly, it is our saving grace this year. It truly is to save the summer.
One quick thing about the bad contracts too, and hopefully if Breslow is gone, if my memory serves me correct, I think McCarthy said, one of the, and he was talking about when he was talking to some people that worked down in Worcester and was, this was before Christian Campbell got that big contract, and they were like, watch out for this kid. I'm pretty sure McCarthy was talking about Campbell at the time. That's the other thing is I have not given up on that kid. The thing is, and you guys touched on it perfectly, is you have a group of however many guys it is. I forget, what is it, a 25-man roster? And you don't have a veteran presence, and it's all these young kids, and there's no identity to form. And the one guy that could have been the backbone of that guy, not that we're that kind of, a member of the tribe, a guy that fit Boston perfectly. He had a Wally friggin' whatever mitt. He fit the city perfect. Even if he was injured, the type of pull that he brings to the clubhouse is just so important that it's to not sign him over a no trade clause on year 4.
It's been malpractice. It's just been malpractice up to down, left and right, anywhere
get
you
a veteran,
look.
and these other players will do their things.
The entire organization stinks to high heavens. The players deserve blame as well, because they have underperformed and been pretty shitty on the field product as well this season. So it's a disaster top to bottom. Firing Cora didn't do anything. This team is what it is.
But again, as a major league player, when your team's shit in the bed that bad and you're still collecting a check that's the same amount every week, no matter what the outcomes of the games are,
right? You get into a state of
unless you got incentive
complacency.
bonuses. Unless you got incentive bonuses, you don't give a shit at that point.
Well,
because
and I
what?
think
The top doesn't.
Well, and I think this is something that we also need to talk about too, because there's likely going to be a strike that happens as well. And it's looking like it's either going to be a shortened season next year, or there may not be a season at all. And if there is no season, or it's a shortened season going into 2027, the last kind of good memory that we have of the Red Sox really is last year where they kind of went on a little bit of run, but it's really kind of 2021. And if you think about it, before that, it's 2018. It has not been a good decade for the Red Sox. So if this is the lasting thing that they're going to leave us with going into this labor dispute, I'm extremely disappointed as a Red Sox fan and as someone who wants to kind of wash this taste out of my mouth.
They're going to have to prove it, as we said off the top of the segment. They're going to have to prove it, and we'll see where things go. Another team that's going to have to prove it, the only thing with the Patriots, they had mandatory minicamp last week. Everybody was there.
Except for Giannis.
I think except for Giannis, which is its own situation. But more importantly, I do think that behind the scenes that the Gonzalez and camp and the Patriots camp are trying to work something out. And the reason why is that you always follow the real estate, fellas. And it's, according to reports, Christian Gonzalez just bought himself a nice house close to Gillette in the surrounding towns, which definitely pleads the case that maybe he's trying to set himself up for being here for a
Sharon.
while. But I think you pay him. I think you go after it these next couple of years, and you were knocking on the doorstep. You've addressed those needs offensively. The defense was pretty damn good last year, and there's no reason this Patriots team can't be a top team in the AFC and go ahead and make some noise again going into this.
You got a
season.
short
I don't
window.
think you
We
just
gotta
go for
use it.
the next few years. In the last couple of years, the Patriots' actual spend compared to other teams is 22nd in the league. They have the ability to spend the money, put the product on the field, and they are going to have to pay because Christian Gonzalez, Drake May, they're all coming up. So you better lock them up, and you better make sure that you're putting the right talent around them. So that's why I love the AJ Brown move right now, because it is a win now move
All
while
in,
they are on
baby.
these rookie
All in.
contracts. So go all in so you can continue this momentum and continue to draft well as well, because you need these players on these rookie deals to be good enough to help support a player like Drake May and Christian Gonzalez when they do get paid on later on.
And that's what I think that we've seen with this Mike Vrabel era is that I feel like we have people in the positions that they're actually supposed to be in, as far as versus Belichick when he was handling the business side of things. There's someone else that's doing that. Clearly, Vrabel's letting those people that handle those situations know which players he wants to create that, dream foundation of what he has. But, right now we're looking at one of the best wide receiver groups in, the NFL with AJ Brown, Romeo Dobbs, and, whether it be Kayshon Boutte or whomever it is out of the last of those guys, it's just, I think they've got a 3 or 4 year window where they can really get things done before they, like you said, Big E, they have to start spending to lock up players. But the other thing is, the thing about Rob Kraft is now that Belichick's not attached to him, I feel like Rob Kraft has that willingness to spend. He's not afraid to do it.
I think Bob Kraft is at a point in his life where I don't mean to
wants
sound
another
morbid
one.
by any means, but he wants
One more
success
before he
while
goes.
he's still here. And God bless him. He's in his early 80s and he's still going. And, you can tell when he does some interviews that he's not as, quick and as sharp as maybe he once was, but he's obviously doing it. And certainly, Jonathan Kraft is there as well and is eventually going to be the guy that it probably is the guy at this point, sort of running the show. But I'm excited for the Pats, man. I know it's still early. I know we got some time to go, but in a couple weeks from now, training
went to
camp
the
will be
Super Bowl,
underway.
baby.
We got to get down there. We've said we're going to do it. We got to do it. We got to go see Sister Karen and Mike
Sister
Kavlik
Karen.
and all the other, Patriots friends that we have. So that's the plan
Let's
coming
get a
out
date,
in
boys.
July. So we'll be there.
I'll certainly be there.
We'll be
I'll
there.
be there.
So another thing that happens in July every summer is there's a great show on that TV channel called Bravo. And they go out to the Hamptons and they film a show. And everybody knows we're talking about Summer House right now. The Bravo boys are back. They haven't been here for a couple weeks.
Summer House.
Big updates today, Big E. First West out on this season of Summer House that's being filmed, probably kicking off in the next couple weeks, to be honest.
July 4th, I think, is the kickoff week.
So there you have it. He is out, which makes sense. So it'll be interesting to see if Colin and Amanda are still in. I would think so.
Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said over this past weekend? He was like, yeah, because like he was like, yeah, I'm rooting for the Spurs to win Game 5, so that way Game 6 will be happening on Tuesday night, where there's a bonus Summer House episode that's going to be on. He's like, yeah, we'll take the eyeballs away from it. Like, dude, that is your show that you get a paycheck for, and you don't want eyeballs on it just because you suck and like you're a bad human being doesn't mean that you should be like throwing shade to the network. And you want to what? Good for Bravo for saying, you want to what? Fuck you, West. You're not on our show anymore.
Fuck you, West.
So I think that's awesome.
Well,
I think
they've obviously benefited from the drama that it's been, but I don't know how ongoing they want it to be. And I also think the reunion probably had something to do with that, because the way that him and Amanda were at that reunion and him admitting to just like taking drugs beforehand so that he was emotionless.
What kind?
Was kind of like one of the most insane things of all time. And I think if you walk away from that, you say to yourself, like, why do we want to be associated with this guy being a part of the show? And the way that he fucked up the dynamic, and now the word on the street is that him and Batula aren't even together anymore, and he's already back fucking other bitches. So it's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
Batuglia.
Yeah, and Batuglia. Yes, sorry. T by the track, T by the sea, T here with me. Okay. Anything else, Biggie?
Shout out to Portnoy for all of his updates.
I just also rhymed like I was Dr. Seuss right there. That was impressive. See what happens when you go behind the mic, Sammy K. The brain starts to go. And where are we going now,
you'd be
Biggie?
surprised
Where are we
if
going?
I think they certainly have benefited from Scamanda and all the stuff that's kind of popped on up. But I think if there's anyone who's come out kind of great in it, is Kyle Cook. My guy, Kyle
looking
Cook.
like $1 million.
I think he was slated to be the villain in the season, and now he's coming out smelling like roses. And Amanda, who I think has always kind of painted herself as the victim, I think she's done that intentionally. Like, she has always pitted herself as like, oh, Kyle does this to me, Kyle does that. And like, to me, it just seems like he wants someone to be a partner with him, and she never really wants to be that. And someone came out recently, I was reading on Threads, that like they knew her in high school, and like she's the exact same way that she was there, and that she is a pick-me girl. She is a pick-me girl. And from watching the season and knowing what we know now, I just that's not true though, Sam. Not everyone's like that. I just think that she just doesn't live in reality, and I think she thought that she was gonna have all this great PR, impressive was gonna be on her side, and talk about fumbling the bag. She fumbled it bad.
She did, and but let's not let Kyle completely off the hook. I think that he had he did some things, and he had some really bad moments, and the way that he sort of talked to her and some of the interactions that he's had and the blow-ups that he's had are all completely uncalled for. So
the difference
they both wear blame, but Kyle didn't
the way he owned up to it.
Correct.
He was apologetic.
Correct. Kyle Cook is a cyclical man. Fun guy, drinks too much, says stupid shit, goes and makes a big scene, makes big scene, cries that he made big scene, go and make up with everybody, does it again. That's pretty much how it goes with Kyle Cook. So that's it for the Bravo boys. Great stuff. We'll keep you up with the bonus episode and some other stuff over the summer because it's a great channel. Biggie, let's keep going. And where the car is now, it's that exit we love to take at this time every time of the show.
Yeah, we're going, and we're talking about the things that I love, the things that make me get up in the morning, I get excited about, and they're the things that just kind of stinky. We don't like those. Those are things that are bad. So it's time for yeah and yeah-oh. Who's getting oh yeah or yeah-oh this week?
Let's get to it. Go ahead, Eric. Keep going.
I'm going to kick it off. We've talked a little bit about the love affair, but just to Scotland. I've seen a bunch of people in my neighborhood, just, they're literally all over the region right now, scattered throughout Massachusetts, Boston, Rhode Island, even up to New Hampshire. But the Tartan Army, they are the party. All right. So no Scotland, no party. We got Scotland. We got the party.
Party's been great. Shout out to the Tartan Army. It's been great. And Boston's been a great host city. There was a lot of things that's talked about Boston, in the U.S., sort of there not being any sort of fanfare leading up to the World Cup, the buzz. I'll tell you, the buzz is fucking here now, boys and girls. It's here. You go and you see marketing at any of these sort of places that are sponsors with FIFA, and it is FIFA'd out right now across it. We also mentioned this guy. Let's keep the oh yeahs in the sort of FIFA World Cup atmosphere here. It's got to be Freddy the Fan. And oh yeah to Freddy. This guy is now living a life of the fellas in Entourage somehow by posting his photos of his travels, discovering the fast food, the Bass Pro Shops, all these other places, and just posting pictures of his journey across the southern United States.
He found Elle Langley, and he's going to be a special guest at her concert.
Special guest at his concert. The CEO of Circa Resorts in Vegas is offering to fly him out there for a watch party at the outdoor stadium swim. This guy had a hotel room paid for by JJ Watt. So the good nature of social media and what came out of Freddy the Fan has been great to see. So shout out to him. Let's talk about any of the other. I'll keep one more. Oh yeah. I will have boots on the ground at Boston Stadium for England and Ghana next Tuesday. We will be in the building, ready to go. I think I'm going to take some tea bags, fellas, and throw them at the England fans, and I will be very much rooting for the Ghanans for
You
this
have a
game.
responsibility. You have a big responsibility at that game, and that is
Yeah,
to show
you
the
need to go
English
there with tea
and
bags.
the Ghanans what tailgating is all about. Scotland and the Haitians were absolutely blown away by what tailgating was because they were like, "We don't do this," because like
Oh,
that's not a cultural thing outside of America. So your
yeah,
job
The
well,
English, bro.
is to be passing around some beers, some high noons, and making sure that you're helping our
Real
guests
man.
have the best time possible for that game.
I might have to take go pick up an extra couple of racks at the store
Double
down the street
burgers.
to
I'm willing
take
to
care of our fans.
donate a rack so you can make sure we share the love with our guests.
Excellent. I'm gonna have to be somewhat behaved given the nature of the way the seats have come to me. So, but we'll make sure that we take care of all the good fine folks at the game next week. I am very much looking forward to it. It's going to be an awesome time. All right, who's got some other oh yeahs or yeah ohs to round us out here in the segment tonight, fellas?
I think there's only one more. Yeah, Sammy,
Yeah.
I think you put that in there.
Sammy's got his
What,
eyes
the
on the
Knicks
World Cup.
fans?
Yeah, the Knicks
Yeah.
fans. Talk about the Knicks fans and just get it off your chest one more time.
It's just ripping the city apart, fucking throwing eggs at players, just like, okay, you Knicks fans, you can, soak in this win all you want, but like the lack of humility that you showed after the win. And I think this is the difference between New York fans and Boston fans. Is we've won so much. We know what it's like to be not a sore winner and not to rub it in fucking people's faces. We can say our jeers the ways that we want, but just for them to literally be like ripping the tops off of trucks and looting stores. There was one person shot, I think 63 people arrested. Like, it was just fucking utter mayhem. And it's just, it tarnishes what should be a historic run for the Knicks. And it just makes the city look really terrible. And like Erky said last week, it makes those real Knicks fans have a much worse image. And the singling out of Spurs fans and, beating them and all those things. And Erky kind of touched on it. And it's just one of those things where you kind of just got to walk through. It's like, Erky, you got to realize a lot of those people aren't from the city. So they don't know how to do those certain things. And like, so I think it's a respect thing. And
They just remind me of Philly. It's Philly and New York. Like they just it's
they haven't won
embarrassing.
much.
It's
They haven't
embarrassing.
they haven't won as much as we have. They don't know how to be humbled in that winning.
It's not about
We
winning
don't-
as much as we have, Sam. It's about winning with grace and humility.
But that's what I'm talking
they
about.
but they just don't understand. It's like
I'm
like that. You
sure-
act like
I'm
you've been
sure
there.
that
They don't know.
yeah.
They don't know what that's like. So
Well, we grace and humility, I think we do to a certain extent. You don't you don't see people going and causing a absolute ruckus, and there's a true celebration when it comes to championships in Boston, not some of the riffraff that you get in these other places.
Yeah.
But I agree, Sam. It doesn't represent all of Knicks fans. They're fans like an Erky who are real fans of the team, and they're extremely happy for them. But there are,
as much as happy as I am for Erky, he also like, dude, chill, bro. Like,
yeah,
you've been writing in all caps.
saying that,
like, we
saying
get
that
it.
it's like the best moment of your life. Like,
We get it.
if a Knicks championship is
tipping
the
your
best
hat.
moment of your life, sure, maybe you feel this way, but there will be other moments in your life that are much more important than
also,
sports
it's not
team
like
winning.
this is the first
no need to
championship
be a
that
dick to your friend.
this is not the first championship that he's experienced in his life. He has seen, unfortunately for us, he's seen a few Giants championships. He's seen some Yankee championships. Like, come on, act like you've been there.
And
Again,
you know what, Erky?
like,
I've also, on the record, have texted you off to the side personally and said, I hope you go through a run. So fuck you. It's right
listen,
back
I'm
to
not-
you, buddy.
I'm
I
not
love you to
crapping on
death,
you,
Erky.
Erky. I'm just
No,
saying
no,
in
no, no,
general.
no, 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 no. I know.
He is.
It
He
was,
is crapping
it
on
was,
you. I'm not.
he's- No,
I
no,
feel
no,
like
no,
I
no.
should pick up the bat phone and call
No,
him in and
he
be
just
able to
he
get
started.
his take.
We have a group chat of like 25 API guys.
Of
50%
course, no,
of
the
whom are
back and
from
forth, the
Rhode Island region, and the other in Boston region, and the other 50% are from the New York, Connecticut, and
yeah,
New
he was
Jersey area.
spewing.
So it's
He was
just like, yeah, we
absolute-
get it, bro. But
absolutely spewing. So, yeah, Knicks fans have taken their victory lap and shoved it in our face big time.
Hey, just remember that you're only a champion.
Irrelevant.
You're only the champion until the new
Once the
season
draft
starts, and then you're no longer the champs. Everyone's gunning for you. So good luck, New York. Good luck.
Here we go. So
Yeah.
one last final. Oh yeah, it was the UFC fights that were at the White House last night. Quite a spectacle over there. The fights themselves ended up
No,
being.
man.
I disagree. I think it's a yao. And
You didn't like
first,
because it was at the White House or the fights themselves? 'Cause
no, I
thought the
think
fights were
it's
pretty
because
good.
it was at the White
fact is
House.
no, the fact it's outdoors. To me, that was the big thing that was bad. There
Not
was
for
the
me.
weather delay. And also, first off, if you're gonna do something like that, why didn't you do that on a Saturday night versus on a Sunday?
Very true.
Like that is just poor planning to me. So I
But-
think the whole UFC White House thing was a shit show and completely poor
It was
planning.
very distasteful. Listen, I have a cousin in politics. He's lived in DC he just recently moved to Chicago last year, but he was in DC for over 20 years, worked on both of the Obama campaigns. He's, been in and out of the White House when Trump was president, in and out of the White House, his whole entire fucking career. I think having any sporting event, no matter what, at the White House is just distasteful to what the White House stands for. And I say this because they have like government type games like that. Like they have the congressional baseball meeting, like a baseball game where it's the Democrats versus the Republicans every year. And I'm pretty sure it's at like Washington
The Nationals Park,
National
yeah.
Stadium. And that's my thing, is that it's like, do I want some dude with a belt walking through the fucking same floors that FDR walked through? I don't know. I mean, as a person who likes history, I just kind of find it distasteful personally.
Well, I find it distasteful that a fighter who wins calls Michelle Obama a man. Like that. Come on, that's just such in poor taste.
I've looked into that. Dana Record on the way is not pleased, who is a fellow Boston person.
No, I just think that's just distasteful and like
it is.
Listen, the outdoor element
but it gives
thing to me, that is like you're dealing in summertime in DC or anywhere in the country where thunderstorms are going to happen. Like I just don't think like they planned this well, and that's
why the
UFC.
It was why now?
Because
I know the 250th
this was
anniversary.
pretty much Dana White taking it up the tush from the Trumpster and bending over for him to be able to have this happen. And
It'll probably never happen again.
No, it definitely won't happen again.
He said it won't. It was a big cost deficit to him.
They took a big loss.
The cost, but also all the this sort of discussion that we're having after the fact is nothing that they want to deal with. Just go
He's not happy with having to deal with those
arenas
questions.
all over the country.
Sean Strickland breaking in.
Have these marquee fights and no more of the nonsense. Just stick to the plan. You know how it works. Have the big names, have the big venues, and do it that way. So that does it for Oh Yeahs and Yeah Ohs. We're going to take the pike here and wrap things up. Red Sox this week, Sam. What's going on there?
We're going to lose 3 against the Blue Jays at home, and then we're going to take 2 out of 3 against the Seattle Mariners in Seattle, because that's how we are. Or we're going to sweep Seattle in Seattle.
2 and 4, baby. 2 and 4 every week.
We're going to go 2 and 4 this week. So that's what you got to look. You know what you got to look forward to, and you can put it on the map right now, is you got a Wilson Contreras home run guaranteed this week.
You want to know I am looking forward to on the pike?
Yard.
I am looking forward to the U.S. men's national team next match against Australia.
There's a couple
on
games
Friday,
this week.
Juneteenth. No, but specifically this one. I think we got to talk about America because that is the team that we are rooting for. At least I'm speaking for myself here, but I hope you guys are as well. But I think it's great. It's a 3:00 game on Juneteenth. A lot of folks have the day off for the national holiday. It's going to be a good electric atmosphere. Australia also won their first game in group play. So this is a very pivotal game. And if they can take this game, they put themselves in the driver's seat to get out of the group and put themselves in a good position for the knockout rounds.
Gonna be scenes on Friday afternoon. Gonna be everybody tuning in. I really hope they go on a run. I think coming off that UFC talk at the White House, I think if this team can go on a run, and the fact that it's the 250th anniversary of the country, and if they can go past playing 4th of July and sort of carry some momentum, it would be a great story for the country. And I do think you'd see a lot of unity with it going on. So
I think it's just also cool that when's the last time that the host country won or went on a great run? I can't remember.
Yeah.
we'll have to check that and get back next week. Any other games that you guys are looking forward to this week?
Yes.
Some of the stars take the field.
So we have Tuesday, Mbappe and France take on Senegal at 3, and at 9 p.m., Messi and Argentina are going to be facing Algeria. We'll have on Wednesday, the legend Cristiano Ronaldo take on Congo. And then Saturday, which is going to be my game of the weekend, aside from the U.S. game, is going to be the Netherlands and Sweden. That's going to be a very, very good game. If you guys want to watch some really good soccer, I highly suggest you sit down, grab some popcorn, and enjoy 90 minutes or even more of
Games have been
great
games
soccer.
have been awesome overall too. Just like every single
Yeah.
game for the most part has been really good.
Great
And
games.
once we get
It's
to the
always
knockout stage, it'll get even better. And I will be sending you boys links in the group chat. There's ESPN knockout bracket is what it is called. So it's kind of like the March Madness bracket, but World Cup style. So we can fill those out, have some fun, kind of talk about it and, what we think. But boys, France their odds went up a little bit, but they were starting at plus 475. They look real good, especially after that 0-0 draw with Spain and Cape Verde today. So that's my
We're
little
going
take.
to keep tabs on everything. It's been great to have it on the TV, games all across the country at different times, providing entertainment here as we head into the summer months. It's been beautiful weather. I got my Camp Avoda t-shirt on. Great spot. I know you went to YJ. We've all done the summer camp thing. It's about to be summer camp season. So enjoy it. It's beautiful weather out there. We've reached summer, fellas.
Grill some
Well,
food.
yeah, get the grill going, get outside, enjoy
Maybe a
that
little pool
beautiful
party.
weather.
Maybe a little pool party this weekend.
Pool
Get some
party
sun. Put
is
on the sunscreen though, please.
yeah,
SPF
Yes.
30 or better,
some-
please. Not
exactly.
coconut
50,
oil.
50.
Make sure you're equipped for the sun. Nothing's stronger than the sun. You can't beat the sun. All right, near, far, wherever you are, we always appreciate you tuning in. A great episode of the Boston Sports Brothers podcast tonight. Sammy K, Big E, great to see you. Next time,
Pleasure to see you guys as
As
well.
always.
We'll see you all next week.
peace.
Laters.
Try to hit the stop button.